The plan to redraw Indiana's congressional map is officially one step closer to becoming reality. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Dustin Grove in for Scott Swan. For months now, the White House has been leaning on Indiana to redraw our state's 9 House districts to try and pick up 2 more Republican seats. Their goal? To help the GOP keep control of Congress next year. Tonight, after hours of debate, the proposal is now headed for the full Senate. Our Emily Longnecker is there.
The Senate Elections Committee wrapped up their work just after 7:30 tonight. It was a long day that started with lawmakers hearing over 4.5 hours of testimony from almost 130 Hoosiers. When it was over, Democrats offered a few amendments. All of them were voted down. And then came the committee vote where we got a chance to hear where some Republicans stood on redistricting, at least for tonight. Some of those Republican senators who voted yes in committee had not said publicly before Monday where they stood. They made it clear their vote Monday night didn't necessarily indicate how they'd be voting when the bill got in front of the full Senate. Elections Committee Chairman Republican Senator Mike Gaskell said he supports redistricting.
And I could mention many other states. I think that somewhere between 15 and 20 seats, additional seats Republicans could have today if there were fair maps in other states. This is a very small part that we can play in rebalancing the scales on a national basis.
One Republican senator crossed the aisle to vote no on passing the bill forward. Senator Greg Walker has been a no on redistricting since August and made it clear tonight that's where he still stood. He referenced the Senate's ethics rules prohibiting lawmakers from being influenced by outside offers.
If the senators to determine that by acceptance of the offer, the senator's independent judgment may be affected, the senator shall refuse the offer. That's a shall, and that's in our rules.
Walker also referenced the recent threats of violence against lawmakers and calls to primary those who didn't support, calling those negative offers that could also influence lawmakers.
I refuse to be intimidated. I made a choice. I will not let Indiana or any state become subject to the threat of political violence in order to influence legislative product.
Walker condemned the threat several senators, including himself, had received in the past month. He became emotional talking about a baby he held last night.
And I shall refuse the offer for the sake of that child and the future of the state.
Democrats on the committee also condemned the threats, later saying while Monday's vote was disappointing, the process wasn't over.
I'm extremely hopeful that the more constituents can speak to their legislators to convince them about the negative impacts of this legislation.
We have lots of runway between now and the final vote.
And Democratic Senator J.D. Ford saying tonight that he didn't have a crystal ball, but also saying that if tonight's vote was any indication of how it would go later this week, that he thought the vote was going to be close. That is something I have also heard from a couple Republican senators today who spoke with me. You know, for the past month, Senate President Pro Tem Rod Bray has said that the votes were not there in the Republican caucus in the Senate for redistricting. He had a markedly different tone today, saying on Thursday we'll likely find out where everyone stands on this issue when they vote. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
All right, Emily, thank you. Every week, Emily and I do a deep dive into this whole redistricting debate happening at the State House and the effects across the state. The latest episode of Crossroads Politics just dropped yesterday. It's over on WTHR Plus, which is free to stream on Amazon, Fire Stick, Roku, and Apple TV. A normally peaceful Morgan County landscape, trees, fields, and snow, is tonight a crime scene after a shooting earlier today involving local law enforcement. Police say the suspect in a home break-in was hurt and taken to an Indianapolis hospital, and investigators confirmed that suspect had hit a canine officer with something. The dog was taken to a local vet clinic and is expected to be okay. So here's what happened. Investigators got the call around 1 o'clock this afternoon to a home along Belt Lane near Patton Lake. Officers say somebody reported seeing a man possibly breaking into a home. When they got there, the officers called for the person to leave the home, but they say the suspect refused. That's when officers released their canine.
Well, it's one of your officers going down. It's one of your own. And that was very evident today because once that happened, one of the other officers picked it up and ran probably a tenth of a mile up a hill that I was winded walking up today to get it to a car so they could self-transport that to the emergency care. So it's one of your own.
Police have not elaborated on the extent of the suspect's injuries. We're working to learn that information as well as the person's name. We'll let you know when we find out. Tonight, IPS leaders confirm a teacher is now off the job after allegations of excessive force on a student. According to a statement, IPS Employee Relations launched an investigation early last month. A spokesperson tells us it reportedly happened at Washington Irving School 14. The district alerted IPS police and DCS. The spokesperson says the DCS investigation is still underway.
It is cold out there late on this Monday evening. Teens and 20s on the map. We're at 21 in Indianapolis, 17 in Shelbyville, 21 Columbus. We're already down to 12 in Kokomo and 16 in Richmond. The good news, these temperatures will bottom out and then actually start to go up a bit overnight. Should be in the upper 20s and low 30s for the morning rush. Nothing weather-wise to slow you down aside from perhaps a few low clouds as that warmer air starts to move in. Grab the heavier coat. Temperatures early tomorrow morning in the upper 20s to around 30. We'll jump into the upper 30s by midday, forecasting highs in the low 40s. This is going to be a brief warm up. As you can see, temperatures head back down and perhaps the coldest air of the season on the way for the upcoming weekend. I'll have a look ahead at the week ahead in just a few minutes.
See you then, Angela. Thank you. Tonight, 2 people are dead, 8 others hurt after a crash in Montgomery County. Happened around 3:15 this afternoon along US 231 near County Road 600 South. That's just south of the city of Crawfordsville. Police say the driver of a pickup truck tried to pass stopped traffic and ended up hitting 2 other cars. We're told he now faces preliminary charges of OWI causing death and criminal recklessness.